I tell you what, man. Sometimes I sit out here on the porch and I get to thinking. Dark thoughts, you know. Sometimes out here there's nothing to do but think. Sometimes the storms roll in, keep you bound to your house for a week, two on end. The waters, they fall, the rivers, they rise up, boy. And I tell you what, man, I tell you, some of them rivers rise up, some of them bodies rise up too. Ain't nothing I'm proud of, but I'll tell you what, boy. Got a couple things under my floorboard when them rivers rise. I get a little anxious when it rains. 'Cause dark secrets come out when the tide goes up.
I definitely think the pitch is your friend.
You ever sit on the porch and see the country light up by the lightning light? Make you think about all this here. Is it God who put us all here? No. Someone much darker than that. What is God? It's a joke. God won't put me here on this hill on earth. I tell you what, I grew up with my good old friend, Jeremiah. Me and Jeremiah used to be real close, like. We used to run through the fields. We used to shoot at deer in the field, like. One day, Jeremiah come home to me. We were close friends, real close. Jeremiah, one day, he come home. He said, I kissed your sister. I wasn't too kind about that, because I'll tell you what, man, I've been kissing my sister.
What's your argument?
That's my sister, and ain't one going to be reprocreating with her, Jeremiah. That's going to be me. So I took Jeremiah out back, told him we were going to sleep some sweet tea, and I whispered in his ear, Jeremiah, crossed the line this time, big brother. And I did something I regret. I'm not proud to say it, but I put my hands on his neck. Watched as the light left his eyes. The last breath exited his mouth. As I looked on his lifeless body, I realized what I had done, but there was no going back at this point. I could see... I could tell there was no going back at this point. Saw the clouds rolling in across the field. It was coming in ready for some rain. But I thought, if I gotta live a good life here for my sister, I gotta get rid of this body. She gonna wonder where Jeremiah went. He's a good friend. He's been around for a long time. People be asking questions. I gotta make sure that body get good gone. So did me a trench down out in the fields, real deep, talking. I took the tractor, the John Deere. I took my daddy's John Deere, and I start digging. And by most people calculation, they say about 6 feet enough, but I kept digging. And maybe it wasn't I was digging to hide the body. Maybe I was digging my own shame, trying to hide it. Don't have to face it again. I tell you, that John Deere went about as deep as my shame, down to the devil himself. And when I put Jeremiah's corpse, I rolled it right in there. The devil lick his ass so deep. And he did, I swear to God. As I filled in that ditch with my good friend Jeremiah, I said, oh, this never gonna be the same around here. Went home, the rain started to pour, the lightning hit the fields like a shock from God. Could see the trees shaking out there in the field. I'd like to say that was the last time I took a man's life, but it was only the first. Turned out I had an appetite for people's sending people out down to a real deep grave. Something in me, there's some kind of darkness, a hole in me couldn't be filled by nothing else. And I wasn't this kind of man. I wasn't kind of a murderer, but it was a hole, a deep hole inside of me couldn't be filled up no other kind of way. Started with Jeremiah. Turned out the next one was Jim Bob. I don't like to talk about Jim Bob hurt not. If it hurt too bad. Jim Bob, a good man. But I tell you, man, something happened when them lights just switch off behind my eyes and I see Jim Bob and I just think, this man belonged in the dirt, down with the devil himself. So I'll tell you how I met Jim Bob's a jazz. I met Jim Bob one day, a hot, humid summer day out there in the fields. We was picking all the crops, the corn was getting ready for harvest. Yeah. It was a tough harvest season, you know, the disease came, ate most of our crops. Hard time for us farmer type. But coming around saying, hey, you boys look thirsty. You boys look like you can have some kind of drink to hydrate. I did one. I was thirsty. There ain't no truth about that. But I was thirsty for something else. He didn't want to know the truth, and I didn't want to face it either. I'd already taken one man's life. I was about to take another. I took Jim Bob into my house, boy. We had ourselves some of them iced tea. Something just woke in me. He was a good man, a good Christian boy. I gave him that iced tea. I watched the cubes swirl around his glass like the last embers of his life. This great flame that was Jim Bob about to flicker to the end. God. I invited Jim Bob inside. I invited Jim Bob back to my house. Tell him to sit down, watch the telly. And I just stand behind him and watch. I knew this man's last moment here on this earth. He didn't even see it coming. I hate to think about Jim Bob. What I did to him wasn't right. But I'll tell you since you ask. Sat down right next to him. I put a little bit of a sedative in his iced tea, you know, the kind that just make you sleep nice and peaceful. Well, he drank his tea, boy, I tell you what. Passed right there on the couch, went to sleep, sweet like an angel. He looked so peaceful when he slept like that the last time he'd ever sleep, I tell you, man. What is the difference between death and sleep, I wonder? As I sat there looking at Jim Bob, taking a nice little sleep there. Because what I tell you, when I took that knife and dug it into his side, I tell you, he didn't wake up. He just kept on sleeping. And I wondered to myself, what is the difference? I just took me a life, and yet this man couldn't even wake up to face me in the eyes. I tell you, Jim Bob was a good man around the community. His family couldn't know what was going on. His mama come around talk about, hey, you seen Jim Bob? I say, I ain't seen Jim Bob around here. You know I ain't seen Jim Bob in ages.
Got it.
We was close.
That was very good.
Thank you so much.
And this show will premiere next Thursday.
So yeah, Jack, what did you think about my accent?